It's no longer a secret. Colorado is the place to live and work. People from all over the country are flocking to Denver, and frankly, they have been for years now. The lifestyle, job opportunities, economy, culture, cost of living, a sense of adventure, quick and easy access to the mountains and more make Colorado a special place to live. Seriously, could you imagine calling any other place home? If you're here, then your answer to that question is likely no, and you're probably feeling like now is a great time to put down your roots by buying your first home. Not only is buying a home a part of the American dream we grew up thinking about as kids, but it's also an incredible opportunity to build wealth. Did you know that homeowners accumulate 45 times more wealth over their lifetime than renters? Or that, as a homeowner, you'll realize tax advantages, diversify your investment portfolio, and stabilize housing costs. Buying a home is an effective way to say goodbye to annual rent increases and hello to more cash in your pocket that's going to work for you each and every day. Colorado, in particular, is a desirable place to live, and you should feel confident about buying a home here. Since the 1970s, we've had a strong, resilient real estate market that, on average, has seen 6.5% appreciation growth year over year. More recently, our annual appreciation has hit double-digit growth due to incredible demand, low supply, historically low interest rates, and a tsunami of millennials who are finally ready to become homeowners. These factors have all combined to make the Denver real estate market one of the most challenging markets in the country to buy a home. It's abnormal to be the only offer in a home, and it's normal to be up against a handful or dozens of offers competing for a home. Like you, I've also heard homebuyer horror stories. 70 plus showings and 14 offers until you're finally the selected buyer. While I admire that buyer's determination, I am frankly horrified about their experience. If this is you, we need to talk. And if you don't want this to be you, we need to talk. The reality is that unprepared buyers are losing out on their dream homes. Why? Because buying a home is much more involved than going to check out a few homes like they do on HGTV. Buying a home requires that we take time up front to develop a personalized strategy that is tailored to your wants and needs and is structured to help you achieve your short and long-term goals, whatever they may be. A lot of people tell me, Lauren, this is why I'm going to work with a real estate agent. I don't need to know this stuff. If you're going to take one thing away from this training, please know that not all agents are created equal. In fact, there are more licensed real estate agents in the state of Colorado than there are homes listed for sale, by a landslide. A majority of the deals in Denver are done by a very small minority of licensed agents in this state. To be successful in your home buying journey, you need a full-time professional agent on your side. And sometimes the first agent you meet may not be the best agent for you. All that to say, buying a home in Colorado is possible. Not only that, it should be an enjoyable experience if you're educated about the home buying process, financially prepared, and learn how to compete with other buyers by making an offer that stops sellers in their tracks. There's a lot that goes into buying a house that you can't see on the surface. And honestly, it can be a little confusing along the way. But I'm here to help you out so you can feel less stressed and more excited as you navigate one of the biggest purchases of your life. In this video, I'm going to teach you the right way to buy your first home in Colorado's competitive Front Range market. Before we go any further, I want to give you a little background on who I am. My name's Lauryn Dempsey. I bought my first home on my own when I was 22 years old and lived in San Diego. I absolutely loved the experience and quickly got hooked on real estate. Before moving to Old Town Arvada in 2016, I spent a decade driving warships in the US Navy and working in high-level PR and communications at the Pentagon and throughout Southeast Asia. After my time in the Navy, I worked with a few Colorado tech startups and at the National Renewable Energy Lab in Golden before making a move into real estate full-time. By the time I was 34, I had bought 6 properties and sold 1, so I really know what it's like to be in your shoes. In 2020, I helped 33 homebuyers close on a home using the same techniques I'm going to teach you in this training. 80% of those buyers were under contract on their first offer. After working with Denver buyers for years, I've created a system to help you navigate the process and win your first home, even if there's 10 or 20 other offers on the table. Before we dive in, it's important to me that I help people that need it the most. So I want to talk a little bit about who you are first. You're an individual or couple interested in buying a home in the Denver metro area in the next 6 months to a year, or maybe sooner. You're ready to learn what it takes to buy your dream home for the best price in the shortest amount of time. And you're tired of wasting thousands of dollars every year on rent that doesn't go towards your future. In this video, I'm going to break down the entire home buying process step by step, from the time you start thinking of buying to when you get those keys. here's what you'll learn. You'll learn the language of home buying, a new set of vocabulary for communicating your needs with real estate professionals. We'll talk about how to create your unique home buying funnel, where you'll define your wants versus your needs in a home. We'll break down the finances of home buying so you can feel confident along the way. You'll learn the best negotiation tactics that I use to help buyers get under contract fast. And lastly, I'll explain the details of getting to the closing table and becoming a homeowner. Since buying a home can be a confusing road for many first-time buyers, I like to break the process down into 2 phases. Phase 1 is all about going from home search to under contract, and phase 2 is focused on going from under contract to closing. The 9 key moments in phase 1 are: know your why, identify your ideal move-in timeline, define your location, wants, and needs to create your funnel, obtain a pre-approval letter from a local lender, know your numbers, set up a customized home search, tour homes that meet your search criteria, make an offer, and go under contract on your dream home. Once you're under contract, you should take a deep breath and celebrate because you successfully navigated the most challenging part of buying a home. Before you get those keys, however, you still have a number of decision points to navigate before closing that we will tackle in phase 2 to include deposit your earnest money, perform a home inspection and do your due diligence, obtain an appraisal, receive the clear to close from your lender, and then sign the closing paperwork to get the keys to your new home. For the remainder of this video, I will break down each step of the home buying process in detail so you will know exactly what to do at each stage. Let's get to it. Know your why. Why are you watching this video right now? What motivated you to click the link and learn about the home buying process? Why do you want to buy a home? The answers to these questions are deeply personal and will help drive and guide your home buying journey. So know your why. Identify your ideal move-in timeline. Now that you know your why, you need to know your when. Is your lease renewal coming up? Do you want to be a homeowner before making a career change? Are you expecting a child? Are you even on a timeline, or are you just waiting for the right house to pop? Your real estate agent needs to know the date in which you want to be in your new home so that she can tailor your search experience to achieve your desired timeline. Define your location, wants, and needs. You know your why and your when, but do you know your where and your what? Where do you want to live and what do you want in your home are some of the most important considerations in the home buying process. We need to spend time diving into location, wants, and needs. Understanding these driving factors will help you hone in your search strategy. We do this by building a buying funnel so that we can sift through the thousands of homes listed for sale and identify your best fit homes to see in person. Location, location, location. I've learned that location is one of the most challenging things for first-time buyers to identify. You may rent in the city, but maybe you can't afford to buy the type of home you want in the city. Or maybe you want a yard and quicker access to the mountains. So how do you hone in on a location? Open up a map of the Denver metro area and put an X where the answers to these questions are located. Where do you live now? Where do you work now? Will you be changing jobs? Will you always be able to work from home, or will you need to go to an office? If you could live anywhere, where would that be? Where do you typically hang out with friends and family? Where do your friends and family live? What do they like about living there? What are your hobbies, and where do you typically go to engage in that hobby? Still stuck? Well, it's time to get in your car and hop on your bike to explore. Take the long way home. Pay attention to amenities like shops, restaurants, supermarkets, and green spaces that are in the area. Talk to strangers at the coffee shop and learn what they love about the neighborhood. Go back to areas that interest you at different times of the day to get the best vibe you can. What to look for in a home. Now that you know where you want to live, let's break down what you want and need in a home. There are trade-offs and compromises to make, and you need to understand where your priorities are. So grab a pen and paper and make 2 columns, one side with your wants and one side with your needs. If you're having trouble creating a list, start with your current living space. What do you love about it? And what do you really not like about it? Once you start seeing your space in a different manner, you will gain clarity, I promise. Here are some common things to think about when you're making your list. Features of the home. How many bedrooms do you need? Are you okay with sharing a bathroom, or do you need at least 2 full bathrooms? Do you need space to work from home? Do you like to cook? Do you like to entertain? Do you have kids, or hope to have kids while living in your new home? What about pets? Do you need a yard for them? Do you need a garage to store your gear or protect your car from hail? Do you have guests who stay for a longer period of time, like your out-of-state family? Do you know the style of home you want? A ranch, a 2-story, split level, or maybe a condo or townhome? What about the condition and the age of the home? Are you looking for a home you can make your own over time? Does it need to be move-in ready? Are you okay with some projects? Or do you want a brand new home? If you're buying a home with a partner, create your own list first, then compare with your significant other. That will tell you how aligned or far off you may be. If your wants and needs don't marry up perfectly, that's okay. It's important to start having the conversation about what's on your list so you can begin to understand each other's perspective. Often, this list evolves once we start seeing homes in person, but it's critical to have a good baseline to work off of. Remember how I said earlier there are going to be trade-offs and compromises? The reality is that there is no perfect home. Even if you designed and built your own home, there would still be things that you wish you had done differently. That's why I encourage you to think of your first home as an 85% perfect home. Once a home hits 85% of your location wants and needs, that's when you will want to consider putting in an offer. It's important to talk through wants, needs, and location with your real estate agent and share with her links to homes that catch your eye. That way she can be on the lookout for off-market opportunities or encourage you to see a home you may not have liked online. A great agent who knows her clients will be able to find your future home for you. She will sense how you feel about a home when you're touring it. She will know when it's a fit or when you're forcing it to fit. She will be able to ask you hard questions you may not want to think about because the emotional part of your brain is taking over the rational part. Quite simply, she will ensure your head and your heart are aligned when you make one of the biggest financial decisions of your life. This is a long section, so let's take a quick look at your key takeaways. Think about what works and doesn't work in your current home and create a list of wants and needs. Know how far you want to be from work, friends, family, and activities. Understand the types of neighborhoods and amenities you want to be nearby. And send your realtor links to the types of homes you're interested in so she can help you narrow it down. Plus, she has tools and resources and access to things you may not be able to find online. Now that you have a good idea of what you're looking for in a home, it's time to figure out how you're going to get what you want. If you're serious about buying a home, then you need to get your finances in order before you start looking at homes. Why? In order to submit an offer, you'll need to show the seller that you are qualified to buy the house. You do this by submitting a pre-approval letter from your lender at the same time you send in an offer. Contrary to popular belief, you do not need a 20% down payment to purchase a home. In fact, there are a variety of loan options out there, and depending on your personal situation, you may only need 3% down. If you're a veteran, you don't need to put any money down. Of course, our market is strong, and having cash available will give you leverage and options when it comes time to submit an offer. So how do you know what the best financing solution is for you? You need to meet with a lender who will be able to evaluate your financial background and structure the best loan for you. There are many mortgage nuances, so that conversation is best left to you and your lender. I know this may sound counterintuitive, but obtaining a mortgage from the same financial institution where you do all your banking might not be in your best interest in our competitive market. Hear me out. A local lender will understand our market best. In fact, they may have previously worked with a listing agent, which is a competitive advantage for you when you're up against multiple offers. If you're working with a financial institution that's nationwide, you may have to call a call center to get an answer, and you could be talking to a new person every time you call. Wouldn't it be easier to be able to text your lender who knows you and your situation for answers to your questions? Real estate is a 24/7 job, and there is no such thing as banking business hours. Your lender should be as easily accessible as your real estate agent. A strong partnership between your lender and your real estate agent can turn your offer from a strong offer into the winning offer. I have a number of local lending partners I'd be happy to introduce you to who are all wonderful to work with. At the end of the day, my advice is to work with whoever you feel most comfortable with. Now that you've met with a lender and are pre-approved, you are just about ready to start shopping. Remember how I said that buying real estate is an emotional decision? That's why it's so important to know your numbers before you start setting foot in homes so you can stick to them when it's time to put in an offer. Here are 3 questions you and your real estate agent will need to know the answers to. What are you paying in rent right now, and what is your ideal monthly housing payment to exclude utilities? What does your ideal monthly payment translate to in a purchase price? You can use an online mortgage calculator to play around with the numbers, or your lender may have a similar tool for you to use as well. And finally, how much money do you have set aside for your home purchase? On top of your down payment, you will also need to ensure you have funds set aside to complete your due diligence and pay for the loan. These costs include a home inspection and home appraisal, which typically costs about $750 each, and the cost is dependent on the size and style of home. Additionally, a lender will require fees to originate the loan, pay any points, fund your escrow account to pay for taxes, insurance, and HOA if required, and pay closing costs. All told, this typically amounts to 1 to 2% of the purchase price and is money that will need to be liquid. Your lender will be able to provide you an estimate when you get your pre-approval letter. Okay, you are officially doing this. You know what you're looking for and you know what you want to spend. Your agent has started sending tailored daily home search emails that show up in your inbox every morning, and I bet you're feverishly scrolling through Zillow every night. Make sure to star the homes that interest you and delete any you don't like. When you find a home you love online, it's time to set up a showing with your selected real estate agent. Keep in mind that you should see a home with an agent who is working in your best interest. Sure, you could call the agent who is listing the home for sale and ask to see it, but remember they work for the seller, not you. If it's your first time seeing a home in person, it can be a lot to take in, so don't put too much pressure on the situation. Seeing a home virtually is way different than physically standing in the home, and it can take a few in-person showings to get a better idea of what you're looking for. On the other hand, don't doubt yourself if you fall in love with the first house you see. It happens, and you should feel confident with all the work you've already put in to know it's the right home for you. It's important to keep revisiting your relocation, wants, and needs list after each day of showings. Ask yourself if your search is too broad or if it's too narrow, and request that your agent make adjustments to your search and emails as needed. Your house is out there. It just may not be there right now. Patience is a virtue, and that's especially true when buying a home. Once you find a home that you love, it's time to make an offer. In Colorado's competitive market, multiple offer situations are common, but it should not deter you from submitting an offer if you love the home. The key to winning a multiple offer situation is understanding the seller's motivations so you can craft an offer that achieves the seller's wants and needs while also staying within your comfort zone. Although price is important to many sellers, so are the terms of the offer. Multiple offer tactics could be an entire training on its own, but I'm going to highlight 5 of the most common techniques that help buyers win their dream home. These include: make an offer above listing price. Use an escalation clause to increase your offer price if your offer isn't the highest and best. Limit your inspection requests of the seller. Close quickly. And finally, if you're offering above list price, you will want to include an appraisal gap that will communicate to the seller that you are serious about buying the home. Each house and offer strategy is different. I have a menu of tactics I share with my buyers when they're ready to submit an offer so that they can select the terms most comfortable for them. Now that your offer is in, you are likely sitting on pins and needles waiting for a response. Depending on the listing agent's offer rules, you'll either get a response fairly quickly, or you will need to wait through the weekend so the seller can evaluate all offers together. A strong buyer's agent will stay in touch with the listing agent through the weekend to ensure your offer stays competitive. There are 3 possible outcomes once you submit an offer. First, the seller selects a different offer. If that happens, I recommend to my clients that they submit what's called a backup offer. That means if the selected buyer chooses to terminate, your offer slides into under contract position and the house never goes back on the market. I've personally lost an offer before and I know it stings. However, in hindsight, it was the best thing that could have happened. I promise you'll end up in the house you're supposed to be in. The second thing that could happen is the sellers like your offer but want to clarify some terms, so they send you a counter offer. If you like the updated terms, you sign the counter and you're officially under contract. And finally, the most positive outcome is that the seller selects your offer without sending you a counter and you are officially under contract. Do you remember when we first started this conversation that I said there is much more involved with buying a house than what you see on HGTV? Buyers who are seeing 70+ homes and writing 14+ offers have wasted a whole ton of time and suffered through a whole lot of heartache. When you are thoughtful and intentional about your home buying journey, you will find your house and it will be on terms acceptable to you and within your timeline. Now let's move on to phase 2, under contract to closing. 30 days to home ownership. We've all heard that mysterious word, closing. Let's talk about what that means and how you get to the closing table. One thing to keep in mind is that the Colorado purchase contract is written in your favor. As the buyer, you have multiple opportunities to negotiate or terminate the contract, while the seller's option of doing so is non-existent or very rare. I like to tell my clients that my role evolves and expands during the under contract phase because I become their project manager in addition to their advisor. There are a lot of moving pieces at play with critical deadlines that I am responsible for managing on your behalf. The first week under contract is fast and furious, and it's important for buyers to be prepared to move quickly. The first thing you need to do is submit your earnest money to the title company within 3 business days. Earnest money is typically 1% of the purchase price, needs to be liquid, and is applied to your down payment at closing. I call earnest money your buy-in to the deal because it communicates to the seller your seriousness about purchasing the house. If you do not follow the dates or deadlines in the contract or do not act in good faith, the seller can keep your earnest money. That's not a small chunk of change, and it's why I take my role as project manager managing dates and deadlines very seriously. In addition to depositing earnest money, you need to schedule a home inspection. A home inspection can be one of the most challenging pieces of the under contract phase to navigate, so I encourage my clients to knock it out as soon as possible. An inspection report can be long and scary at first glance, but I prefer to think of it more like a homeowner's manual. The inspector is a generalist and will identify issues that need to be addressed immediately or further evaluated, items that should be monitored, or items that need to be maintained seasonally or annually. In my experience, a seemingly big issue identified by an inspector is sometimes a non-issue once you bring a specialist in. I encourage my clients to not make decisions about moving forward with a contract until we get a full and accurate picture. Additionally, the information and estimates gathered during the inspection period are useful for negotiating repairs or concessions from the seller. During the first week under contract, you will also receive the preliminary title commitment that shows ownership history. If the home you are purchasing is located in a homeowners association or HOA, you will have the opportunity to review HOA documentation during this time period. The next big hurdle prior to closing is the appraisal. The bank will only lend you money up to what the house is worth. In order to determine the home's value, the lender will order an appraisal from a third party. In a challenging market like Denver, appraisal gaps are required to make your offer stand out in a multiple offer situation. You need to spend time with your lender and agent to thoroughly understand how appraisal gaps impact your ability to buy. Just like multiple offer techniques, appraisal strategy could be its own course. While you are working with your real estate agent to navigate inspection, due diligence, and appraisal, you are also working with your lender to get fully approved for your loan. The lender will ask for a lot of documentation, and it's important to provide information as soon as possible to prevent a delay in closing. The most important thing you can do during this period is make sure you stay pre-approved for the loan. In other words, don't do anything that will impact your credit score or debt-to-income ratio. Here are the best tips for maintaining pre-approval. 1, don't change jobs or quit. 2, don't buy a car. 3, don't use credit cards excessively. 4, don't let your accounts fall behind. 5, don't spend the money you set aside for closing. 6, don't change bank accounts. 7, don't co-sign a loan for anyone. In general, try to avoid large financial transactions that will raise eyebrows. If you need to do anything different than is normal for you, get it approved by your lender first. The sweetest words an under contract buyer can hear is that they are cleared to close. That means you are just a few dozen signatures away from officially becoming a homeowner. At the bottom of the stack of legalese documents in front of you at the closing table is the key to your new home. Congratulations. Thank you for taking time today to invest in yourself. You are welcome to take everything you learned in this training and apply it to your situation. But keep in mind that everyone's home buying experience is unique. You have your own budget, your own goals, and your own lifestyle that I couldn't possibly cover in this video. Remember that a good strategy provides a clear roadmap to achieve desired goals. Without a home buying strategy from the beginning, you may never become a homeowner, or it may involve a lot of heartache along the way. The roadmap I've outlined in this training module has resulted in dozens and dozens of happy, fulfilled, and excited homeowners. Will you be next? If so, then schedule a free strategy session call today. On the call, I'll personally meet with you to create a custom plan to help you hone in your home buying search funnel, develop your personalized home buying success strategy, and answer any questions you have about the current market conditions and process of buying a home on Colorado's Front Range. So, if you're tired of waiting to buy a home and you want to know that you're on the right path, then apply for your free strategy session below.